good, YouTube? It's your boy Hellraiser, Hell the Goat, Hell the King. About to give you another reaction video from TPS, Total Pro Sports. It's the worst NFL teams of the 2010 decades ranked. I'm curious to see what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to do each team and do the worst record from 2010 to 2019. I don't know if they're just going to do, this is just the worst teams, period. I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see exactly how they're going to do it. So, you know, man, no talking without further ado. Let's get into it.
What is going on, everybody? The 2010s decade were dominated by a handful of teams, namely the Patriots, along with the Seattle Seahawks, New Orleans Saints, Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Green Bay Packers. But nearly one-third of NFL teams this decade were quite simply terrible.
Okay, so they're
Each
just going to do the worst teams,
the worst
not from
of the worst for the
team.
2010s.
I think they should
I
do
actually
each
haven't
team
seen
too.
this list yet, and I'm guaranteeing that the Browns
0-16 is definitely going to be on there.
I have not looked at it.
And like I said, it could be, like he said, it's
Number
going to be
9,
number one.
Buffalo Bills. The 2000s were terrible for the Bills. The 2010s were a bit better, but that's not really saying much. The Bills closed out the 2000s with back-to-back fourth-place finishes in the AFC in 2008 and 2009, and they remained consistently bad to start the next decade, finishing in dead last in the division 4 years in a row from 2010 to 13. It's a big yikes. 6 straight years of finishing last in a division that featured 2 other terrible teams.
Okay, I get it talking about 2 other teams, but the late 2000s and the super early 2010s, the Jets were like mediocre. Like their defense is what carried them. And the Dolphins, I mean, I don't remember the last time that they were really good. But, I mean, you can't really fault the Bills for that. They didn't have the right personnel. They didn't have the right coaching. They really didn't have talent on those teams like that. So, I'm going to give them a pass. Again, like I said, y'all probably saw my wife's foot just go in the air. I'm going to give it a pass just because, you know, I think they should go with one season, say the record, that's that. It seems like they're going, oh, this is just the worst team throughout the whole decade. And if that's the case, okay, yeah, but give me some records. People like me want to see the worst record teams, but, hey, man, let's keep it going.
The Bills won no more than 6 games in each of the first 4 years to open up the 2010s. It's odd because they did have some good first-round picks during the span. C.J. Spiller, Marcel Darius, and Stephon Gilmore became quality talents. The Bills kept recycling through quarterbacks, and they employed 3 different head coaches between 2012 and 16. Buffalo finally began to turn a corner after going 9-7 in 2014 and 8-8 in 2015. Under new head coach Sean McDermott, the Bills finally ended an 18-year playoff drought in 2017, recording a 9-7 record. They returned to the playoffs in 2019, finishing the regular season with a respectable 10-6 record. 2 playoff appearances in 3 years.
I honestly felt like this last year, that record doesn't show how good they were.
Not good enough to keep them off this list, but at least good enough to keep them out of the top 5. With McDermott, Josh Allen, Tre'Davious White, and Ed Oliver leading them into the next decade, these Bills shouldn't be that bad in the 2020s. Number 8, Chicago Bears. Like the Bills, the Bears ranked near the bottom of the...
I ain't gonna lie, this hurts. So, y'all see that in the back. That's Chicago Bears. I'm a Chicago Bears fan. The fact that they on this list, it hurts. It hurts. But, if we gonna be real, I'm gonna be real. I mean, we haven't been that good until recent.
Thanks to a strong finish of the decade. Everything started out beautifully. The Bears won the NFC North with an 11-5 record in 2010, though they fell to the Green Bay Packers in the NFC Championship game. Chicago went 8-8 in 2011, and they barely missed out on the postseason in 2012 despite winning 10 games. A year later, they dropped a win-or-go-home game to the Packers in Week 17. Then things started to go sideways. Their GM made the ill-fated decision to give inconsistent quarterback Jay Cutler a $126.7 million contract for 7 years. The Bears quickly became a dysfunctional organization as Cutler's play crumbled big time. They traded away Pro Bowl talent Brandon Marshall for pennies to the New York Jets in 2015. From 2012 to 15, they had 3 different head coaches. 3. Chicago became an afterthought and finished last in the NFC North 4 years in a row from 2014 to 17. But led by new head coach Matt Nagy, the Bears shocked the world and won 12 games in 2018, winning the NFC North for the first time in 8 years.
Yeah.
Quarterback
Sprint has great news.
But let's not act like, TPS didn't throw this ad at me.
Powerful new iPhone 11.
It's nice.
Included
Like I
for
said,
just
man, you gotta get paid
$35 a month
either way.
when you switch.
Well, what's
But,
the deal?
Now that's a way to take it to a
We still got to see if Mitchell Trubisky is even going to
Mr.
work.
Trubisky had a strong sophomore year, and led by newcomer Khalil Mack, Chicago anchored the league's best scoring defense. Nagy was named Coach of the Year for his efforts. Unfortunately, the Bears couldn't regain that magic in 2019, finishing a mere 8-8 to close out the decade. But hey, 2 playoff spots, 3 winning seasons, and a trio of 8-8 seasons isn't that bad. The next 7 teams on our list would have gladly taken that. Number 7, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. After the Cleveland Browns, the Buccaneers own the NFL's longest playoff
Mr.
drought,
30 for
having
30.
last qualified in 2007. The frustrating thing is, the Bucs had an aggressive front office that compiled bundles of talent. They did everything possible to build a winner, just never materialized during a wasted 2010's decade. The Bucs finished 10-6 in the 2010 season, barely missing out in the postseason. It turned out to be a mirage, because they proceeded to record 5 straight losing seasons, finishing last in the NFC South each time. Tampa Bay drafted some quality players like Gerald McCoy, Doug Martin, and Mike Evans, but Mark Barron, Vernon Hargreaves, and O.J. Howard didn't develop into the stars that Bucs management had hoped for. Jameis Winston, drafted first overall in 2015, led Tampa to a 9-win season in his sophomore year. Then the Bucs recorded 3 straight losing seasons to close out the decade, including last place finishes in the NFC South for 2017 and 18. Bruce Arians, by the way, became Tampa's 5th head coach of the decade in 2019. At least the Bucs were consistent in 2 things. 1, losing, and 2, finding new coaches. Number 6, New York Jets. The Jets closed out the 2000s beautifully, reaching the 2009 AFC Championship game, where they fell to the Indianapolis Colts. A year later, Rex Ryan's team defeated Peyton Manning and Tom Brady en route to a 2nd straight AFC Championship game. This time, they fell just short against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But with a young quarterback in Mark Sanchez, a stingy defense led by Darrelle Revis, and a strong rush game, the Jets looked poised to eventually dethrone the New England Patriots as the kings of the AFC East. Or maybe not. Sanchez's horrible regression and the dysfunctional locker room led to a quick unraveling for the Jets. They went no better than 8-8 over the next 4 years, and Ryan was fired after the 2014 season. The Jets lost a must-win Week 17 game in 2015 to miss the playoffs. Though they finished with a respectable 10-6 record, New York proceeded to record 4 straight losing seasons to close out the 2010s, finishing last in their division each year from 2016 to 18. Awful management, terrible free agent signings like Trumaine Johnson, Matt Forte, Le'Veon Bell, and Darrelle Revis Part 2. Plus wasted draft picks that included Darren Lee, Calvin Pryor, and Dee Milner. They all led to a horrendous decade for the Jets. So there's always the 2020s. We'll see. Number 5, Miami Dolphins. The problem with the Dolphins is, unlike the Jets and the Bears, there wasn't really a stage where it felt like they were truly on the verge of something special, including interim guys. Miami had 6 different head coaches this decade. Tony Sparano, Todd Bowles, Joe Philbin, Dan Campbell, Adam Gase, and Brian Flores. Miami wasted money on big-name free agent signings like Mike Wallace, Philip Wheeler, and Ndamukong Suh. They wasted first-round picks on the likes of Jared Odrick and Deion Jordan. Oh, and
Yeah, that's the only thing, like, have you noticed that the trend with each of these teams is they don't have good draft picks, bro? Like, that's literally what it is.
And Miami only had 1 winning season. That was in 2016, when a weak AFC allowed them to sneak in as the final wildcard team with a 10-6 record. Ryan Tannehill had some good moments in South Beach, but he could never really elevate them to another level. The Fins committed to tanking in 2019, and it set them up nicely for the future. Let's see if they can finally turn a corner after experiencing the worst full decade in their history. Number 4, Washington Redskins. Perhaps no team underwent more drama, management, and inner embarrassment. But at least the Redskins weren't as consistent in losing compared to the top 3 teams on our list. Now, Washington did finish 4th in the NFC East, a whopping 5 times over the course of a decade. But at least they won the division in 2012 and 15. The former year, Robert Griffin III won Offensive Rookie of the Year. But knee injuries and awful management by Washington's coaching staff ruined his career. So, that's just awful and heartbreaking. We can't emphasize how awful the running of the organization was. Their franchise player, Trent Williams, was disrespected by the organization, and the team showed zero regard for his health.
Yeah.
Oh, do we mention they ruined RG3's career? Or that they kept the same president, Bruce Allen, for 10 years when he had absolutely done nothing to show for it. It's weird how bad the Redskins were when you consider they actually drafted pretty well, landing Pro Bowl talents like Williams, Ryan Kerrigan, and
they honestly need to change the name, man, because it's disrespectful. I don't care what the owner thinks about it. It's a disrespectful name. It's disrespectful, man. My wife has Native American in her blood, man, and I'm not even Native American, but I can only imagine like how she feels and how people who actually are Native American out there, how they feel about it. That's a bad taste, man. Y'all need to do something about that for real.
Brandon Sheriff, while adding some key playmakers like Alfred Morris, Pierre Garçon, and Jordan Reed. But owner Dan Snyder let things get out of control without really caring. At least he finally made changes to close out the decade, bringing in Ron Rivera while moving on from Allen. Pretty good idea. I mean, it's better than what he's doing now. So, the Redskins have plenty of young talent, namely Dwayne Haskins, Darren Payne, Terry McLaurin, and Montez Sweat. That should have their fans optimistic about the 2020s. Number 3, Oakland Raiders. After their Super Bowl 37 appearance, the Raiders finished out the 2000s decade as one of football's worst teams. There was nothing but consistent losing, and you had to feel for the extremely passionate and loyal fan base. They're one of the most loyal fan bases in sports, and they're getting nothing, like nothing. The 2010s were another terrible decade for this once proud franchise. But at least they went 8-8 in 2010 and 11, only losing out in a tiebreaker for the AFC West division in the latter year. The Raiders had 3 fourth-place AFC West finishes in the 2010s. From 2012 to 19, they only had 1 non-losing season. This was in 2016, when they won 12 games to earn a wild-card spot. Unfortunately, Derek Carr's season ended in Week 16 when he suffered a broken fibula. That ended Oakland's dream campaign, and they were blown out by the Houston Texans in the wild-card round. The Raiders didn't really recover after that, recording 3 straight losing seasons to close out the decade. Giving John Gruden a 10-year, $100 million contract to return to the sidelines brought little optimism in 2018-19. But his decision to trade away franchise stars Amari Cooper and Khalil Mack remain head-scratchers to this day. I haven't really looked up an interview, but has he given a reason? Come on. Oakland, by the way, had 6 different head coaches in the 2010s, and they wasted high draft picks on the likes of Rolando McClain, DJ Hayden, and Garyon Clowney. They didn't hold the first-round pick in 2011 or 12 due to trades for Richard Seymour and Carson Palmer. The final blow for the good fans in Oakland came when owner Mark Davis announced his plans to relocate the team to Las
Vegas.
Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. Let's play Raid Shadow Legends.
TPS put in the right ass, bro.
Las Vegas for the 2020 season. Again, you just can't help but feel sorry for this fan base that never stopped supporting their team. Through thick and thin, they never stopped. And that's how he's going to repay them. Wow. Number 2, Jacksonville Jaguars. Oof, this was terrible. The Jaguars could have been number 1 on our list if it weren't for one magical season in 2017. Okay, maybe not. But you could make a case for it. Remember that season? When the Jacksonville defense led the Jaguars to 10 wins, an AFC South crown, and a trip to the AFC Championship game, where they narrowly fell to Tom Brady's Patriots. You remember that, right? I do. Let's erase 2017 from our minds, though. That's how you truly see how bad it was in Duval County. Jacksonville recorded losing seasons 8 out of 10 years in the 2010s. They finished 3rd and 4th in the division 4 times apiece, including interims. The Jaguars went through 5 coaches. They wasted money on free agent signings like Julius Thomas and LeRon Robinson. But more importantly, the Jaguars botched almost every first-round pick they had in the 2010s. Blaine Gabbert, Luke Joeckel, Justin Blackmon, Dante Fowler Jr., and Blake Bortles were among the many first-round picks that the Jaguars wasted. Jacksonville set themselves back by being
Hold on. Now, I felt like they didn't give Dante Fowler Jr. a chance because with the Rams, he's actually playing pretty good, man. So, I wouldn't necessarily say... I mean, it was a waste on them because they didn't keep him. But at the same time, I mean, he's over there balling with the Rams right now, so...
loyal to Bortles and head coach Gus Bradley, who lasted nearly 4 full seasons despite recording a woeful 14-48 record. And yet the team questionably kept GM David Caldwell, who was hired in 2013 and got every chance to oversee this mess throughout the bulk of the decade. Bringing back old friend Tom Coughlin, who coached the New York Giants, to a pair of Super Bowl championships, didn't do any wonders. The Jaguars finished out the decade the same way they started it, on a disastrous note. Number 1, Cleveland Browns. Yeah, I call that, you know it. The Browns and Buccaneers were the only teams that failed to make the postseason every year in the 2010s. That's like really bad. But the Browns were the only team that didn't record a single winning season in the 2010s. Not one. In fact, they didn't even finish 8-8 once. 10 straight losing seasons. Yeah, that's an easy way to qualify as the worst team of the decade. Rock bottom came in 20.
You know why this is funny? Because my dad is a Cleveland Browns fan, and I always hear him talk about all next year, and I think this year, I think he had some promise because of what they did, and they didn't do nothing but go 6-10. So that next year.
17. The Browns finished 0-16, making the 2008 Detroit Lions a lot less lonely.
Hug me, brother!
While we're at it, let's simply point out that Cleveland only won a single game in the
year
entire
before.
2016 season too. One victory over a 2-year span. Wow, that's bad. The Browns also employed 7 different coaches in the 2010s. Just think about.
By the way, the person who got that victory was RG3. Yeah, I think it was week 16.
That. Has any other sports team gone through that many coaches in a single decade ever? So why were the Browns so awful, other than the terrible management and on-the-field play? Look no further than the draft table. Phil Taylor, Trent Richardson, Brandon Whedon, Markevius Mingo, Justin Gilbert, Johnny Manziel, Danny Shelton, and Corey Coleman. Those were all first-round picks by the Browns. Also, they traded with the Atlanta Falcons in 2011, thus missing out on Julio Jones. What?
Idiot.
Cleveland traded down in 2016 as well, so that the Philadelphia Eagles could take a franchise quarterback in Carson Wentz. At least the Cavaliers brought Cleveland an NBA championship in 2016, so it wasn't all that bad. What other NFL team should we have included on our list? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. TikToks,
Yeah, man, that's gonna be the end of this video, man. TPS, they got it right, bro. Like, now that you think about it, those were the worst teams of the decades, man. So, I mean, it's sad that my Bears is on there, but, hey, man, you gotta be honest with yourself, man. That's gonna be the end of this video. You know, like, comment, subscribe. You know, I'm gonna be trying to post more reaction videos. It ain't gonna be just sports related. I'm gonna be probably doing some hair transformation stuff because, you know, I got the waves going on underneath here. I'm in 4 weeks of wolfing right now, man. But it's your boy Hellraiser, Hell the Goat, Hell the King. Apply yourself to supply your wealth. The only limitations you have is the one you place upon yourselves. Got anything to say, baby, before I end it? All right, man. Peace.